If you'd like to purchase Magic Online cards with event tickets while logged in on Magic Online, look at Mtgo Academy's selection by trading our official bot, Academy Sellbot. You can find it in the Magic Online trading area or add it to your buddy list.
Alright, here we are, round 3 of the Classic Daily event. For anybody that might have skipped the first 2 rounds, I am recording the voice over after the fact. I recorded the match live, but I was feeling under the weather during the day of the event, so I didn't commentate on it live. So I am recording over this. I'll do my best to try and remember the thought processes at the time. But we have started round 3 here. Matched up against Scorpio. Scorpio is, interestingly enough, he's European, so he's playing this event. I think by the time this starts, it's 11 something. This is like 4 in the morning, maybe even 5 in the morning for him. I think he lives in Spain, so maybe 4 in the morning. Which is an amazing dedication, but it didn't necessarily change the outcome of the match, let's put it that way. So Scorpio ends up piling a Delver deck. He won the die roll, which was really a big factor in this game. Scorpio is another one of those guys where you really don't know what he's going to play on any given basis. He had been playing Merfolk, so the week before he played a Delver deck, and I think I threw back the opening hand because it really wasn't going to be that great against on the draw, against the Delver deck. And seeing 2 Chalice of the Voids in my opening hand with a 2 multiple mana producing lands, I thought I had a pretty good chance to catch him. He did not play Delver on turn 1, so I was a little happy about that. For a second there, I debated whether or not I should play Chalice or not. Ended up doing that, but unfortunately it wasn't meant to be. I think it gets Spell Pierced, or he brainstorms and then dazes it, I think. So it's an interesting play. Playing the Brainstorm without a fetch land would indicate to me that he was concerned about the Brainstorm being stuck in his hand because he didn't have a counter spell. Otherwise, he would have just countered it, knowing that I don't have any counter spells in my deck. So he probably drew into that Force of Will, I have to imagine. So I think I almost got him. The Brainstorm saved him. I think my personal opinion is I think he found another blue source to cast Force of Will on. Or maybe dug into Force of Will, I should say. I don't really know. So then he follows that up with probably the worst turn of events that could have happened to me. He wastelands my Ancient Tomb and drops down a Delver. Once a Delver hits the battlefield against my deck, I'm pretty much toast. I have to outrace him. The only out I have is a Duplicate and Steel Hellkite. And I'm not in a position to cast either of those cards anytime soon without some significant help. So I struggled a little bit there to try and play Chalice for 1, but I finally was able to stop clicking too many times on the mana. So Scorpio doesn't flip Delver that turn, which is fortunate for me. I draw another Chalice of the Void, which really doesn't help me at all. I've got a couple of options here. I can play Sphere of Resistance and try and lock him out a little bit, which is what I do. The only other option I had was to play Federation Evoker, but there's really no good. I haven't seen a red source, so I don't know if he's rugged. The only really good card to name at that point would have been Grim Lavamancer, but I'm not even sure if he has that in his deck. So I just went with the Sphere of Resistance. Unfortunately, I get dazed, and I can't use the artifact mana to pay for Dazed's cost, which is quite unfortunate. So if I had played the Revoker, and he doesn't flip Delver, the upside is that he doesn't attack with the Delver. But it is a moot point anyway, because he drew the Abrupt Decay, and the Abrupt Decay pretty much just destroys any chance that I have to really come back from this game. So Scorpio Gushes, it's probably just a value play, win more at this point. He's got a flip Delver. I'm down to 14. I've got nothing really threatening to play. He drops a 3/4 Tarmogoyf and puts back one of his lands. There's an interesting play there. I don't know if anybody realized that he didn't accidentally cast Ponder. He cast Ponder on purpose to build his Tarmogoyf up, which is a really interesting play. So I draw Sol Ring, a great mana source, but unfortunately the Chalice of the Void is preventing me from able to play that. Having, again, not drawn another a mana source that I can actually use, I've got no choice at this point except to just play my Revoker as a 2/1 wall against that Tarmogoyf. So I think I go ahead and sit there and wait for a few seconds. I named Jace, even though Jace isn't hitting the board anytime soon. Again, I hadn't seen red, any indication that he was playing red. Actually, the Abrupt Decay probably at the time turned me into the thought that he was not red at all. So that's the reason why I think I ended up choosing Jace instead of Grim Lavamancer at the time. So he swings in both Tarmogoyf and the Delver. I got pretty much no choice except to block the chump block the Tarmogoyf. So I drew a Phyrexian Metamorph, which isn't really a bad play against a Tarmogoyf. That's a pretty good way to nullify that, but I'm still behind significantly due to the Delver. But again, it doesn't matter. He had Force of Will to prevent that from hitting the board and lock up the game. So going into the sideboard, there's a few things that I want to bring in. I definitely want to bring in the Ratchet Bomb, get rid of the Null Rods, which are completely useless. Against his deck, I want to try and bring in as many things as I have to beat Delver. I think going forward I should start playing some more Triskelion. So probably there's a lot more Delver decks being played now, especially because of True Name Nemesis. A lot more fish decks in general. So I think I'm going to have to make a switch to play more Triskelions out of the sideboard. So really don't have too much profitable things to bring in. I am going to be on the play, which helps. I could see if I can drop a Chalice on 1 to kind of lock him out. That's pretty much in my game plan. Unfortunately, I only have 3 Chalices. That also might be a change I want to make to go up to 4 Chalices. So I've got a pretty good opening hand here. Trinisphere is as good of a lock piece against the Delver deck as anything that I've got. So it's a keepable hand. for sure. Turn 1 Trinisphere. I think the only thing better on turn 1 might be Lodestone Golem. He didn't counter it, so that was great. But unfortunately, Scorpio plays Ghost Quarters in his sideboard, and I didn't realize that at the time, but he then Ghost Quartered my Workshop, and that was a big deal in this game. I don't have any basics to play, so there's absolutely nothing I could do. So with that, I've locked myself out of this game with Trinisphere. So right now it's pretty much a race between the two of us to see who can draw the most lands. So far, the race is looking pretty good. I played a land last turn. I drew my third one this turn. So I play Wasteland. Again, I still can't do anything because my Trinisphere is locking me out. I can't play the Mana Crypt, so I just pass the turn again. Scorpio also hits his second land drop. Both of them are fetch lands, so there's nothing I can block with or destroy with the Wasteland. I draw another non-land source. So at this point, my option really is to pay 3 for Mana Crypt or just pass the turn. I decide not to pay 3 for Mana Crypt, one because I don't get any real use out of Mana Crypt because I can't cast anything off of it yet. But I also wanted to keep up the Wasteland in case he plays a non-fetch land, but that wasn't meant to be. He plays a third fetch land. I don't draw another fourth land. So at this point, I'm debating whether or not I should activate the Mishra's Factory or play Mana Crypt. That's my thought process at this point. Casting a Sphere of Resistance or a Thorn of Amethyst doesn't really help me a whole lot. So I end up thinking, if I'm going to win this game, I'm probably going to have to start playing some spells. I don't think attacking for 2 is going to get me too far, especially since he already has 3 lands, so he can pretty much pay for anything he wants, which is basically what he does. He cracks all of his fetch lands and Vampiric tutors up an Energy Flux, and that's pretty much the end of the game. At this point, I pretty much knew the game was over. I suspected he was going to play a hate card. I wasn't 100% sure it was going to be an Energy Flux. Ended up playing a 4th land anyway. So he had all the lands he needed in his hand. And dropping the Energy Flux pretty much ends the game. I don't concede on the spot, but it does allow me, the Energy Flux does allow me to get rid of the Mana Crypt, so I don't have to keep losing life to it. I won the flip. I kept the Trinisphere just for 1 turn, but after not hitting a land there, that pretty much ended the game. If I drew a land, I could have played a Lodestone Golem, and then I would have had the land to pay the upkeep on it. But not hitting a land drop there pretty much ended the game. So in a futile effort, I just animate my Mishra's Factory and attack for 2. The fortunate thing was his 3 fetch lands and the Vampiric Tutor hurt him pretty good. He took some life, so I'm thinking, well, maybe he doesn't have anything. He's got 5 cards in his hand. He ends up not playing a spell. So I figured, alright, I throw away the Trinisphere. Turns out the Trinisphere was actually slightly making things a little bit more difficult for him. So I play the Ratchet Bomb, thinking maybe if he plays a Delver, I can put a counter on it, and then during my upkeep, when I have to pay the upkeep cost, I could crack the Ratchet Bomb. But didn't matter. He had the Abrupt Decay to kill it, and that was pretty much the end of the game. So I just ended up conceding. So let's head to round 4, excuse me.